Well, firstly, Firuze, thank you so much for taking the time to join me. International Women's Day, of course, on Saturday, which is a day I'm very passionate about and one that I know you're incredibly passionate about as well. On the 8th of March, of course, every year we have the opportunity to recognise and celebrate the achievements of women and also amplify their voices, which I think is really important. The theme for this year, of course, for International Women's Day is for all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment. And I think you and I would both agree that it's all about how can we accelerate the action and how can we really unlock equal rights and power and opportunities for all women and girls so that we have a future where no one is left behind. And I wanted to speak with you because, of course, you have had an amazing career in technology. You've spent the last 18 and a half years with CSL. You've risen the ranks. You're an IT director for CSL, and you've done a wonderful job sort of paving the way for women and for girls that want to pursue a career in STEM. And so I guess I wanted to sort of ask you a few questions today about your own career journey. And I'd love to know what inspired you to pursue a career in technology and how did you navigate the path to becoming a technology executive?
Thanks, Katrina. I think firstly, thank you for inviting me to this. And I love the theme Accelerate Action because I feel like we've talked about it so much now and so many organizations have, definitely gone beyond just scratching the surface in this domain, but we need to speed it up. So I think don't quote me on the numbers here, but the current trajectory stands that if we're going at the pace that we're going now, we're not going to achieve equality until the year 2158. And I'm a bit impatient for that. Having a young daughter myself, I want to see change sooner for all the young girls and our future leaders. So what inspired me to pursue a career in technology, it goes back in my career. So I actually studied a science degree. I studied biochemistry and molecular biology, and I was very curious. I think if I look at all of my career steps, it's always been fueled by curiosity. That's been the common denominator across all the different STEM domains. And I come here speaking about not only my career in science, working in project management and very technical, sciencey product development initiatives, and all sorts of projects that I've been lucky to lead. But I also have worked in construction, another very male-dominated industry, and I have worked in obviously technology and the two together as well. So what inspired me was really when I saw that technology can really unlock our ability to solve real problems. Being passionate about healthcare and delivering medicines to people who need it is what drives me. It's what makes me jump out of bed, and being able to do that in my career and then, leveraging technology to get to that dream of getting medicines out there to people and saving lives. That's what really inspired me. And I never forget, I was doing my master in biotechnology at the time, and I was lucky to do some in silico simulation of molecular interactions. And that's when I went, technology and science together is definitely what's going to be my future. So that was a very deliberate decision. So that's in a nutshell, but I think the message there is there are no straight paths, and I've been in various presentations and speaker events myself on panels and at schools. I visited a girls' school recently and I talked to them that there are no straight paths and there are so many ways to get a career in technology.
Absolutely. And even more so today, like you look at a lot of the roles that exist in technology today and they didn't exist 10 years ago. And we'll be saying the same thing in 5 years from now. And that's what's so exciting about the world of technology, that the opportunities are endless. We just need to, I guess, encourage more girls in high school and university to pursue a career in technology because there are so many different pathways on offer and so much variety. And and it's, you know, I think people think about technology and they still think about sort of software programming and coding, but then you look at the intersection with the digital technology space. You know, we live in a digital age, and there are so many interesting roles now in tech that have more of a marketing lens as well. When I sort of think about sort of the women in technology, I think the current statistic is that there's about 29% of the industry is made up of women. So obviously still very low. Clearly sort of thinking about gender equality, that's on the agenda for, I think, most Australian workplaces, which is great. And I think 90% of employers do have a policy or a strategy to support gender equality. But the numbers are obviously still really, really poor. In fact, only 1 in 4 CEOs or heads of business are women. And so I wanted to ask you, when you sort of think about, I guess, sort of initiatives or policies in the workplace that you've seen that have had the biggest impact for fostering gender equality in tech, what have you seen? What initiatives, what policies have had the biggest impact in your mind?
I love that, Katrina. I think we definitely have a way to go in closing the gap. Those numbers are frightening, but so the biggest change in the workplace that I've seen. So I think flexibility that actually works. So I've seen a lot of companies now have really embraced policies around, you know, maternity and paternity leave, so that families can jointly look at career advancement as well as their parenting responsibilities. So that's great starting place. I think equal pay transparency is a big one. So where I think we've seen action is when employers have published data, whether it's internally within their organisation, like we have, or externally, with which many organisations have done so. I think that's when you start to see the playing field and understand where women sit and where there might be needed focus areas across different domains, because there are some functions within an organisation that have a greater number of women actually than men, and others the gap is huge, where there aren't enough representation of women in the workplace. So the other area that I've seen works is sponsorship. So not just mentorship programs, but having advocates, sponsors, and maybe a structured sponsorship program. And this could be in the form of an internal sponsorship and advocacy for younger women in their careers, or not even younger women, it's even peers to our colleagues. But a structured sponsorship program is one that I've seen has played a huge impact in helping close the gap.
Absolutely. And I think having mentors and sponsors to support your career and provide those opportunities, I just think is so important for any young woman that's still on their way up in their career. I'd like to, what role have male allies? Because we need the men as much as we need the women to lift us up, and men play a really important role in advocating for women and creating those opportunities, particularly in tech where women are so underrepresented. What I guess role have male allies played, not just for you, but in general in terms of supporting women in tech?
I've been so lucky, and I've had some incredible leaders that are men that have been my advocates in my career. And it's something as simple as being in your cheer squad and in your corner saying you can do something when perhaps you didn't have the courage to have a go at that. Or it's, you know, I'm about to go and embark on this big, bold move and change directions in my career. Can you support me and be my advocate? So I think that's very easy to do. It's a no cost culture change or a mindset thing that I think our male colleagues have done exceptionally well. I've been very lucky to be on the receiving end of that type of sponsorship and advocacy. So I'd like to see that continue. I think continuing to pass the mic to our female colleagues to encourage them to share their ideas. I have a wonderful female leader who, you know, I say this to pass the same message on, but she talks about inclusion as the analogy she uses is, inviting someone to a party, but also inviting them to the dance floor and being okay whether they say yes or no. So I think if we just take that analogy for a moment, it is inviting, if our male allies invite us to the dance or pass the mic to us, then allows us to amplify our voices in the workplace.
I love that analogy, and it's just getting an invitation. And I think you shared with me, you were recently at a golf day, and I think there was only two women in attendance at this golf day because the male organisers had kind of made the assumption that the women wouldn't be interested. But often it's just getting an invite in the first place. And that's that whole inclusion piece, which is so important so that everybody feels included, part of the conversation and has equal opportunity. What about, I suppose when we think about we were talking before about technology careers and there's so many different pathways and so many different directions that people can take their career in technology these days. What skills do you think are the most critical for the next generation of female leaders in tech?
So three come to mind as I think, and very obviously. So the first one that pops in my mind is storytelling. So it's, having really strong communication to talk about the impact of technology and what it can do for not only organizations, but out in the community. So I think storytelling is critical for the next generation of leaders and being able to take us on a journey and really be able to communicate the impact and the value that technology brings. So that's one. The next one is, look, as I even reflect on my career, the need for bold leadership, but one that can adapt with agility. So there are a few words that I could probably break down in there, but being okay with making some bold decisions, which we're going to have to do, but be resilient and lead with agility and adapt to a very changing environment. So this becomes more complex in highly regulated industries, and the art of knowing how to balance and change speeds, so to speak, as new technology emerges, but at the same time being risk averse and planning and make decisions quickly if you need to. So I think this is a skill that we're going to get. We're going to need more and more because the pace of technology change and evolution is rapid. You have to consider strategy in that, of course, as well. I think that the third one there is your technical and strategy go hand in hand, that you have to have a business mindset. You need to master your craft, but also understand strategy and the impact of your decisions, the financial, the governance that comes with those decisions. So being able to bridge between the technology and the business strategy is crucial. And I say this not undermining at all the technical skills we need, but these are sort of three key: storytelling, lead boldly, adapt quickly, and couple your strategy with your technical decision making.
Yeah, I agree. No, three really important skills which I think would take anyone on their career journey. Really important skills, and I think what's really exciting is the opportunities are endless, but clearly we still need to keep encouraging young girls to consider a career in the field of STEM, with science, technology, engineering and maths, and encourage them to take on those subjects at school and university. But also I think organizations also need to be really open-minded as well in terms of considering talent that might not actually follow that traditional pathway, and what we're seeing more and more in the workforce is people are moving into technology out of business roles, out of a marketing team, out of a sales team, out of finance. We're seeing that a lot in the world of data and analytics. People are moving out of perhaps accounting and finance, or out of marketing, or out of a statistics type role into data and analytics. So yeah, lots of opportunities, but I think we still have a way to go in terms of driving promoting equity, inclusion, and just creating those meaningful opportunities for women in tech. But you've had a wonderful career, and I know your career is only going to continue from here. And you've done a wonderful job, I guess, sort of lifting up women around you. I know that you were speaking at a few different events last week for International Women's Day, so I know that you're a huge advocate for women in tech. So thank you for your contribution to our industry, and to the future female tech leaders as well.
Thank you so much, Katrina. I think, being someone who's been so lucky to have that kind of advocacy and support myself, you have to remember to pay it back. And this is just part of doing that. So I think the more of us that continue with the sponsorship and the advocacy, and the more, we also teach the young girls to do the same and pass it back to the next generation, the closer we're going to get to closing that gap.
Oh, wise words, Firuze. Very wise words. I like that. And I think that's it. We just need to, and I think that's why this day is so important, to sort of amplify the voices of women, although we need more than one day to do it. But let's but we can start with the 8th of March and hopefully continue the discussion all year round. Yeah.